rewrite the soul of a rivalry? The floodlights of Brisbane's Sunseer Lang Park cut through the humid Queensland night like cathedral beams, casting long shadows over the emerald turf where two bloodlines prepared to collide. On one side stood the New Zealand Kiwis, black jerseys stitched with silver fern, eyes already distant, as if gazing across oceans to ancestors who once paddled these same waters. Opposite off, the game unfolded like a Polynesian myth told in thunder. Joseph Tapine charging like a storm front, Jared Waerea-Hargreaves a volcanic ridge refusing to yield. Every tackle carried the weight of villages back home, watching on crackling screens at 3 a.m. The scoreboard flickered. Samoa struck first through a Brian TOA intercept that left the Kiwi chasers grasping at ghosts. Please like, share, and subscribe for more Sport Talk content. Yet the Kiwis answered with a try carved from memory itself. Jamayne Isaako slicing through the blue wall, the ball tucked like a sacred relic, grounding it beneath the posts, while 52,000 voices exhaled in unison. The first half became a hymn of near misses and desperate cover tackles, the air thick with salt sweat and the faint scent of frangipani carried on Polynesian flags. Halftime arrived not as respite, but as a held breath. The second stanza began with rain, thin, warm needles that turned the pitch into a mirror of the sky. Samoa's Stephen Crichton rose above the deluge, plucking a high ball like a chief claiming tribute, then threading a pass that sent Anthony Milford sprinting into legend. The stadium erupted in a roar that rattled the crossbars. New Zealand trailed by 10 with 20 minutes remaining, and the weight of history pressed down like the humid air itself. Then came the shift no script could write. From a scrum on their own 30, the Kiwis spun the ball wide. Ronaldo Mulitalo stepped inside, outside, then inside again, leaving three defenders clutching shadows. His dive in the corner was less a try than a prayer answered. The conversion sailed through, and suddenly the margin was 4. The crowd, once split in allegiance, now swayed as one living organism, sensing the pendulum's cruel arc. The final 10 minutes unfolded in slow motion. Every carry bruised bone, every ruck a negotiation with fate. With 90 seconds left, Samoa camped on the Kiwi line, hammering like waves against Black Rock. On the fifth tackle, Jamayne Nanai intercepted a flick pass meant for the corner, the ball sticking to his chest as if magnetized by desperation. He ran. 40 meters, 50. The chase closed in. He dove. The try stood. The stadium detonated. Extra time loomed, but the rugby league gods had already scripted their climax. From the restart, Joey Manu gathered a loose ball, chipped ahead, and regathered in a single liquid motion. His offload found Isaiah Papali storming onto the ball at full tilt. The big second rower crashed over beside the uprights. Conversion. 28-24. The whistle blew. The Kiwis had stolen not just victory, but something sacred. The Samoan players sank to their knees, not in defeat, but in reverence, palms pressed to the wet grass as if drawing strength from the earth itself. The Kiwis formed a circle, arms linked, and began the Haka, not the fierce kamate of challenge, but the mournful melodic Kotahitanga, a song of unity that floated above the dying echoes of the crowd. TOA Samoa rose slowly, faced them, and answered with their own sivatau, voices cracking yet unbroken. Two anthems braided into one under the Queensland sky. Social media ignited before the players left the field. A single frame, Nanai's intercept, arms outstretched like a crucifix, became the Pacific's Mona Lisa, shared 1 million times within the hour. Hashtags respect and bloodline trended across continents. In Apia, church bells rang at dawn. In South Auckland, car horns formed a spontaneous parade. Newsrooms scrambled for context. This was more than a final. It was the moment two nations chose embrace over enmity. Historians reached for parchment. The rivalry, born in the amateur dust bowls of the 1980s, had produced bruises and brawls, but never this. Commentators spoke of the 1995 World Cup when Samoa stunned the world, of the 2017 quarterfinal when New Zealand exacted brutal revenge. Yet none carried the emotional gravity of this night, where victory and defeat dissolved into shared identity. The Pacific, so often divided by oceans and visas, found its heartbeat in 90 minutes of controlled chaos. In the tunnel afterward, tears mixed with rain on weathered cheeks. Stephen Crichton, named player of the tournament despite the loss, embraced Joseph Tapine like a brother returning from war. "You earned it, Uso," he whispered. Tapine could only nod. throat thick with the weight of what they'd all protected, the right to stand tall, win or lose, beneath the same stars. The moment transcended statistics. Analysts would dissect line speed and completion. Age of algorithmic outrage, these warriors chose ritual over recrimination. They reminded us that rivalry need not mean division, that strength can be measured in the grace of the vanquished as much as the joy of the victor. The Pacific Championships trophy gleamed under lights, but the real prize was the silence that followed the final note of unity. Legacy is not forged in the moment of triumph, but in the choice of what to do with it. The Kiwis lifted the cup, yet every player pointed to the TOA Samoa emblem on their chests in salute. Children watching in Pororua and Pago Pago saw not winners and losers, but cousins who bled the same salt. The scoreboard would fade. The image of two teams locked in mutual song would not. Years from now, when the 2025 final is reduced to highlights packages, the tallies will blur. What will endure is the memory of rain-slick shoulders touching in the center circle, of voices rising in languages older than the game itself. This was sport as sacrament, raw, redemptive, and profoundly human. Joseph Tapine, speaking to reporters with the trophy at his feet, struggled for words. "We play for the kids who can't afford boots," he said finally. "Tonight, both teams won something bigger than a cup. We won respect." His voice cracked on the last word, and the press room fell quiet, understanding that some victories announced themselves in silence. Jeremiah Nanai, the Intercept hero, reflected in the dressing room. "I just saw the ball and ran. But when we did the Haka after, I felt my grandfather standing with me. He passed before I debuted. Tonight, he saw." The young prop wiped his eyes with the sleeve of a jersey that would soon hang in a museum, already relic. Stephen Crichton, ever the statesman, addressed the Samoan diaspora via Instagram Live from the team bus.